So next we are going to talk about Black Widow, the highly anticipated MCU entry. After, 3 or 4 delays, we finally got Black Widow. It was the first MCU movie to be released since Spider-Man Far From Home back in 2019, which is
insane. It was one thing when we heard the Marvel intro when WandaVision came out.
Yeah.
Because it was like the first time in a year that we had heard it. But hearing it, seeing it on like the big screen, it was like, it just, you don't realize like how much you miss something so simple, like seeing a Marvel movie in the theaters.
Right off the bat, I'm just gonna say it. I really like this movie.
Yeah, me too.
It was directed by Kate Shortland. Now, part of the reason why I think a lot of the family dynamics that we're going to talk about work so well is because the story was by Jack Schaefer, who was the showrunner and one of the lead writers for WandaVision. In case y'all recognize the name, that's Jack Schaefer and Ned Benson. The screenplay was done by Eric Pearson. The story picks up right where Civil War left off. I just kind of want to get initial thoughts and feelings about the movie.
Yeah, I really liked it. It was definitely a long time coming, not just with the delays, but even before that. Black Widow is one of the OGs. I feel like people don't realize that she's been there since since Iron Man 2, but like really from the get. Like she's been around.
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson has said that she didn't like how her character was portrayed in Iron Man 2. I think it's very fair to point out that she was incredibly sexualized. But even from the beginning, she had this essence. It's not even just being like badass. And we got a little bit of an emotional backstory in Age of Ultron that was done poorly. No offense to anyone who...
Except for Joss Whedon. Full offense to
Full
Joss
offense
Whedon.
to him, but no offense to anyone who actually enjoyed Black Widow's storyline in Age of Ultron. But I think what we saw in Black Widow, the movie, is how it should have been handled.
Right.
Because we see so much softness to her that we haven't seen before. We get a little bit of a family dynamic with Clint and his family.
Yeah.
But her having her own very interesting form of a family.
Yeah.
Was completely new. I know a lot of people are upset that it took this long to get a Black Widow movie, but I will say, if waiting so long, waiting until after her death in Endgame was what we needed to get a movie of this caliber, then I'm glad we waited. Because what would have happened if we had an Iron Man 2 era Black Widow movie? It wouldn't have been as good. So I don't mind waiting for something that is going to be overall better than rushing something in the beginning.
Right.
Is there an issue with not having a lot of female representation in the MCU and no female-led movies in the beginning? Yes, of course that's an issue. But I don't trust 2008, 9, 10, anybody to write a woman's story well. The screenplay was done by a man, which I know a lot of people have an issue with.
Oh, I actually didn't hear about that.
I saw someone on TikTok kind of going off about that. But I don't know. When you have women directing, when you have Jack Schaefer leading where the story is going to go, I think that influence helps a lot.
Yeah.
And I think we can tell that just by how the difference in how her emotional backstory with the Red Room and Yelena's backstory with the Red Room, how that was portrayed in Black Widow versus Age of Ultron.
Right.
Where in Age of Ultron, Nat was oh, I'm a monster because I was forcefully sterilized. Yeah. And that makes me a bad person because I can't do the one thing I was put on this earth to do, which is to have children.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing to see how women's stories can be so poignant when you have women tell them?
When you have women tell them and when you have women in the room at all, just a one.
Yeah.
Just to be hey, that's not all we're good for.
Yeah.
And then to have this part where Yelena's explaining what happens in the Red Room. Yeah. It's very matter of fact. It doesn't take away from the fact that it's horrible. Yeah. And that you're taking away choice, which is something that's, well, we'll talk about that more in Loki. Choice. Yeah. But it's something that's so human. And just for her to be I don't have a uterus. Just go from there. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's just a very stark difference between Black Widows. And I will say, I know we're going to get into characters soon, but... Sorry, Scarlett Johansson. My favorite character was not Nat. It wasn't our Black Widow. She wasn't even my second favorite character. She was maybe my third. Scarlett Johansson was kind of outshone in her own movie, which is kind of shitty. But again, it's hard to say something like that because Everyone was so good.
I agree. I think that might have been one of the first things I said when we walked out of the movie was that if it took waiting this long to get this type of movie, I'm glad we had to wait, because I know people have been asking for a Black Widow movie for a very, very long time. But yeah, I wasn't aware. Some people were a little upset about Eric Pearson being the screenwriter. Mm-hmm. I'm not familiar with his work, but I think having Jack Schaefer there to kind of facilitate, I think at least puts a screenwriter and a female director, puts them in a better position to
not fuck it up.
Yeah, because even if we're including all four of these names, Kate Shortland, Jack Schaefer, Ned Benson, Eric Pearson, there's at least equal representation, at least in terms of men and women.
Yeah.
Or women and men. So, but yeah, I kind of echo a lot of the same sentiment you just shared. It just to see how far this character has come from her introduction in Iron Man 2, which, you know, you can still be a fan of, but acknowledge, like, did she have to play the sexy secretary when she was I guess she's a spy, but clearly,
And it's like one of those, you know, that I have a common issue with, this is going to sound so bizarre. Stick with me. You know how I have an issue with all women portrayed in anything being super strong, badass women?
Right.
Because you're not that all the time.
Right, yeah.
So her in Iron Man 2 was that the entire time.
Yeah.
There was like no flexibility, which you got a little more of. You can also argue that like this was her introduction. It wasn't her movie. She was a side character that we didn't have a lot of time to spend on. But like that was pretty much her whole thing, was just like, even when she was someone's secretary, she was still like very to the point, very confident, take charge. I mean, that's certainly not me as a woman. So I like being able to see facets instead of just like
one note.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. You think of some of the more important moments in the MCU, like Black Widow was always there. Of course, you know, getting introduced into the formation of the Avengers, that's one. And then also, like Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Like you kind of got to see her be afraid of something for once, because she's like, this Winter Soldier is no joke.
Yeah.
He almost killed me. I'm scarred for life. Even in that movie, like Scarlett Johansson brought like such an energy and just a layered performance. And so like I love that when given the opportunity, she really can go away with this role and just, you know, do some really, really wonderful things with it.
Yeah.
And of course, we're speaking of Scarlett Johansson purely as an actress in these movies. I know she says some shit sometimes.
Yeah, she talks some shit. I mentioned this to someone. Yeah. I can't remember who it was, but I said that she did a really good job in this. She's always done a very, very good job with Nat. She sometimes has to just like play along with what she's given.
Yeah.
Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like, man.
Well, I just wish
she was cooler.
I was like, she's lucky people hate Jeremy Renner so much.
Yeah, she would be the most hated person on the casting.
But anyway, so I completely think this movie was just like the perfect send-off for Natasha. I love that there's just this period of time that I think would the MCU have been just fine if we didn't see? Sure.
Yeah.
But how much richer does it feel, like, knowing what happened in this little bit of time in between these two movies, and just like now understanding the significance of even just her vest going into Infinity War. Like, it's all really cool. And yeah, I think the newfound like family dynamic, because no matter who you are, like everyone knows what a dysfunctional family is. And I think that's something people can relate to. And it was just so great to see such rich character development coming from an MCU movie. Because like you have one character who we've known for a long time, but it still introduced a lot of new characters. And I'll be damned if you saw this movie, if you sat through this movie and said, I don't care about any of these new characters, you're lying.
A liar.
You're just a liar, because you get introduced to several new characters that you're like, oh my gosh, that's the one thing about this movie is I wish I could see more of them. I hope I see more of them.
Do you want to list the new characters?
Yeah. But before I do, I just want to quickly mention as well, this movie has some of my favorite MCU action, especially toward the beginning. We see a lot of like hand-to-hand combat, which I'm always a very, very big fan of.
And makes a lot of sense with the Black Widow as a character. That's like her thing.
I'm definitely glad they went that route as opposed to just being like explosions and gunfights.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's introduce some of our new characters we got in this movie. So you mentioned Yelena Belova, who was played to perfection by Florence Pugh. Let's talk a little bit about her before we even move on.
I could talk for 4 hours about Yelena.
Stole the show.
100%. She was my favorite character.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anything else that Florence Pugh has been in. Like, never, ever.
Yeah.
And now this makes me want to go back and, like, watch Midsommar, which is a scary movie. Yeah. And I am a chicken. So if you successfully made me want to watch a scary movie so I can see you act more, you're a phenomenal actor.
Yeah. And
she was so good.
There were moments where even if they were, like, small, she uses her face and, like, every muscle and, like, just to show these little nuances of emotion. Yeah, she'll, whether it's like kind of frowning her lips a certain way or like curling her brow,
her voice
like,
will shake and stuff. Like it's perfect.
She's so good. And it's like, again, say what you will as Scarlett Johansson as a person, but like as an actor, like she's
good.
She's good.
She's a very, very strong actress, and
to be out acted.
I can't imagine how nice it must have been. I mean, not to shit on anyone else in the MCU, but like depending on the movie, there's like a certain type of acting they have to do. But to like kind of get some like real like family drama to like play off of, it was
having
really,
like new
really
blood. Like how many times do you act off of fucking Robert Downey Jr.? You've been doing that for 10 years. To have someone new to like work with is probably really nice.
But yeah, she was awesome. I love that the poser gag that was throughout the movie. That's because Florence Pugh was actually making fun of that on set, and they wrote it into the movie.
That's funny.
Yeah, they had a conversation about it. They're like, why did she do this? So they added that into the movie.
I'm excited that we know we're gonna get more. Yelena.
Yes, I love that Florence Pugh is able to really toe the line of bringing her dramatic chops, but also how fucking funny she was in this movie. I'm the same as you. I could go on and on and on about how much I loved Florence Pugh in this movie. But before we do, let's meet a couple of our other characters. So we had Alexei, or the Red Guardian, played by David Harbour, another standout of the movie. Yeah. The whole family is really just, they make this movie work.
And I had no doubts that David Harbour was going to be amazing because he was great in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And he's funny in Stranger Things.
He's great in everything.
I had no idea the direction they were going to take his character to be like a washed up super soldier. It's like he was so many things. He had to be, in the beginning, he had to be like just a regular everyday dad.
Yeah.
Which transitioned into a Russian spy, which was like really serious action stuff, which transitioned into crazy prisoner who's like reliving his glory days as the only Russian super soldier, talking about fights that maybe happened, probably didn't ever happen. Then from there going back to like a type of father, like a fatherly figure in a weird way. Like that's a lot of ground to cover in one movie and make it believable. And even while he was crazy, which was like, ha ha ha, he's off his fucking rocker and he doesn't know what the fuck's going on, he still had an emotional weight. Like when he was talking to Yelena in the bedroom and they started singing their song.
Fuck me up.
Yeah. So it's like to be able to like turn on a dime like that and be like funny, 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 but this whole time actually having the ability to maintain like a serious, I don't know. It was just really impressive.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, David Harbour, he's great in everything.
Yeah.
Like, even if what he's in isn't overall great, he is.
Ciao. Anyways.
He is always good in them. This is going to sound weird. He brought such a cold warmth to the movie.
Yeah.
Only because, like, there were moments where, like, you could kind of see, like, his character didn't know how to be fatherly.
He didn't get it.
But he always tried.
Yeah, but he was genuinely trying, but just like couldn't understand.
So funny. Then we also had, along with him, Melina, played by Rachel Weisz.
I didn't realize Rachel Weisz was in The Mummy.
Who's she in The Mummy?
Wasn't she like the main girl in The Mummy with those really thin eyebrows?
Oh, I don't know.
Was that her?
Let's
Please look that up. I thought I saw that online. Am I a fool? Am I boo-boo the fucking fool?
Yeah, she was.
Haha. But she was funny in The Mummy, because The Mummy's like an action adventure comedy. I haven't seen anything else that she was in. So when she was in this, first of all, I didn't realize how funny the role was going to be. I can say that about all of them. I didn't realize how funny it was going to be. But she is really good at like comedic timing, and like her physicality when it comes to comedy is really funny, especially as this like Russian spy mom character.
Yeah.
She's just like, I don't know, very matter of fact.
And she does deadpan really well.
Yeah. Like when she was walking, she was like, change of plans. I've purposefully failed one of the engines and they're now falling from the sky or whatever. And she says it just completely monotone. Yeah. She was really funny.
Yeah.
I was surprised by how
just
funny she was.
Also the weird way of that she and David Harbour would flirt in the movie.
Oh, God. That was like...
You're still fit.
It was done really well because we were equally as disgusted as Nat and Yelena.
Yeah.
So I felt them on that one.
The dinner scene it went from really funny to really real.
Yeah.
And it's those moments of just actual genuine character development and that I really, really appreciated. We met Dreykov, played by Ray Winstone. Yeah, he did his job. He was an asshole in the movie.
Yeah, he was, and it makes sense when you learn that his like pheromones are what protected him.
Yeah.
But just as a woman, seeing a man just like stand that close to a woman, you feel it. It's like when your blood runs cold. They're just like, it's so realistic.
It's like visceral. Yeah, it's like a visceral reaction.
Because men do that all the time.
Yeah.
And they know it makes you uncomfortable and they don't care.
Yeah.
So seeing that being represented, that's like fully like, if you're a woman, that has happened to you before. Seeing it and being like, it wasn't just like, oh, this is uncomfortable. It's scary. So it was like just a little subtle thing to make him even more menacing. Because like from afar, he's a dude.
He's an old white guy.
But when he's up that close to you, staring into your eyes, it's terrifying.
Yeah, there was a moment where like even I felt it, and it was when she can't hit him, and he raises his hand.
Yeah.
And just the way Scarlett Johansson like flinched back at him.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh shit. It's different if it was just like him throwing a punch, which he does later. But even the fact that he's just a normal dude, he's a psychopath, but he's like not a super
powered,
villain.
Yeah. And he has that much power. And knows how scary.
That was some next level shit. Very interesting type of villain. It's almost kind of like a what's his name from Jessica Jones?
David Tennant.
David Tennant from Jessica Jones.
I don't remember his character's name.
Jessica.
I can't remember.
Kilgrave.
Yeah, and he was just like emotionally abusive and manipulative.
Because he could literally control people.
Yeah.
All right, and I wanted to save this one for last because this was
the twist
of the movie, and this is one of the very few issues I have with the movie.
Yeah.
So we also were introduced to Taskmaster, who we all know, of course, from the comics is a, prominent villain of Black Widow's.
Yeah.
And can mirror any combat he sees, basically. So we saw some of that here. We see Taskmaster viewing the airport fight from Civil War and automatically scanning. Now, they did change it because now a Taskmaster would scan movements and like vitals and stuff.
It wasn't just like an innate ability. It was a computer program.
So like on that, I'm like, okay.
It makes it more believable.
Yeah, especially because the MCU is already so like tech heavy.
Yeah.
It would make sense. So like, that's fine. It doesn't make the person fighting any less skilled, unless you're Tony Stark, who I love.
Sorry, Tony.
Sorry, Tony. He can't fight. Can't
fucking fight.
However, probably toward the final act of the movie, we learn the twist that Taskmaster is actually Dreykov's daughter, which was an interesting callback. They peppered this out throughout the movie. I'm not super familiar with the Black Widow comics, so when I heard Dreykov's daughter, I immediately thought of the Avengers, because that's what Loki called her out on. I thought that was an interesting twist to the movie. I wasn't so mad about that. I wish they would have utilized Taskmaster a little bit more than they did.
I agree.
Even before seeing the reveal.
Yeah.
Because, like, again, not saying that the action that we did see wasn't cool. Like I mentioned before, I really, really like the hand-to-hand stuff. But, I don't know, it's just like to turn Taskmaster into this kind of, like, sort of Terminator, Michael Myers, this, like, silent killer type of character who only gets called out every once in a while. I don't know. I was never really, like, afraid of this character either. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess I can kind of understand that.
Like, I just wish there was more we could have seen. There's a lot of heroes in the MCU. So I feel like there was more you could have done to make Taskmaster a little bit more formidable.
Also, I don't want to sit there and watch them mimic every single MCU hero. I think they did a good job with squeezing in a lot of different characters' fighting styles for Taskmaster.
Yeah.
But I agree. I wish that they would have utilized, or not even have the part at the end where all the widows come and like pick her up and help her. And I kind of wish that didn't happen, because I would have liked to see more Taskmaster in the future.
Yeah.
Not as a good guy.
Or I would have even liked to have seen maybe Taskmaster be the one to take out Dreykov. I don't know. Like, I would have liked a little more maybe redemption for her. Yeah. There's a couple different things they could have done, I think, to kind of bring this character to life a little bit more. But I mean, it was still a twist. I will say, I wasn't expecting it to be Dreykov's daughter.
Yeah, because the way the movie set it up, she was dead. Yeah. Killed as a child.
I thought that was interesting. Like, the real villain of the movie was Dreykov. It wasn't Taskmaster.
Right. And it wasn't even him, really. It was him, because he was the one who ran the program. But it was really the program, which isn't even gone. They're setting up this whole next step for all the widows to go around and save all of these
unmind control them.
Yeah, all of these other women who, and we saw it was like hundreds of women all over the world who were sleeper widows, I guess, who need to be demystified. So I kind of like that they set up something to revisit in the future. But yeah, I kind of wish Taskmaster, and now are we going to see Taskmaster like fighting alongside them? I don't know. I kind of wish we had more Taskmaster meat in this movie.
So even if our reasoning is a little different, like I think we can still like say we both wish Taskmaster was utilized a little more thoughtfully.
Yeah. Because
again, the movies are different than the comics. Mm-hmm. So you have to take it as that. So I'm not upset that they went a different direction with it. In fact, I kind of like that, but I just wish we would have seen a little more or just a little bit of a different side to them. Mm-hmm. One of my only other issues with the movie was that because the movie had set up a lot of really cool, like, at least something that I appreciated was like that like 90s, 2000s inspired like espionage genre movie, like James Bond, Bourne Identity kind of action, and just even like some of the cinematography was like running across rooftops and spying. Mm-hmm. Like it was really, really cool to me. And so to see that now, like we're getting another like floating evil fortress, and then now it's like almost like an Avengers level thing. So I didn't hate it, not by any means, but it was just, I kind of like the scaled back thing we got for a while there. And, but I get it. You need that. They need that MCU action in there. So lots of explosions and sky fights.
Yeah. But I think I don't think they went above a one character led.
No.
I don't think it was an Avengers level threat.
Yeah. But so that was like the only other thing that I was like, oh man, it wasn't like an issue. It was more like I liked what we were doing so much that like now that we're going into this like real big thing, it's like, oh, okay, this is where like the classic MCU stuff is coming in.
Yeah.
Which again wasn't bad. I still thoroughly enjoyed it.
That whole scene at the end when the space station. Yeah. I don't know why space station came to my head first. They're not in space.
The Red Room.
When the Red Room was imploding and falling from the sky. That was so stressful.
Yeah.
To watch.
Talking about stressful, I loved the prison break scene. I thought that was awesome, but it was also like seeing all these people swarm. It's just like,
It also shows that Alexei, it kind of gave me a little bit more insight into his character.
Yeah.
Because he's a super soldier.
Yeah.
He let them imprison him. He could have killed all of those people, but he didn't. He could have tried to break out a long time ago, but I don't think he did. And I like that they did make it a point to show like, here's why that wouldn't have worked. He couldn't
really jump. Yeah.
So they still grounded it in reality. Like it would make sense that he didn't leave before now because he couldn't, but he could have done a lot of damage. And I don't think he did because he was still allowed to be like out and about with people. So I thought that was interesting. It made me think like, oh, he's not a bad guy. He's just, he doesn't have like a good moral compass anymore. Like he just doesn't know.
Yes, I completely agree. So I'm looking here. I don't know if you've heard about this. You probably have at this point. The actor who played the prisoner sorry, let me turn off my email here. The actor who played the prisoner that was arm wrestling Alexei and he had his wrist broken and Alexei was like, I beat the big bear. So that's a Dutch actor and bodybuilder named Olivier Richards. He recently confirmed, I don't know if he was supposed to say this, but he confirmed that his character's name is Ursa Major, who is, in the comics, a mutant.
Is he part bear?
And he turned into a bear.
Ursa Major is a star, like a cluster of stars, right? That look like a bear?
Oh, girl, I don't know. But anyway, so
that's cool.
His thing is he turns into a bear.
So that's interesting. I wonder if that's anything.
That's why I was like, it might just be like an Easter egg, like a little nod. I don't know if some fucking outlets are like, mutants confirmed.
Okay, like, mutants have been confirmed in every Marvel property since
WandaVision.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was kind of a cool little Easter egg thrown in there. But yeah, like I mentioned, I really, really like the spy movie vibes we got throughout the movie. Love that we have William Hurt throughout the movie. That was cool. Always like seeing him around.
William Hurt?
Yeah, he played Thunderbolt Ross.
Oh, yeah. Just William looks like he's hurting.
I just like seeing him in the MCU more and more because for so long, and even to this day, Incredible Hulk is always kind of just like shoved to the side. Because it's bad. For better or for worse. But I like seeing him pop up.
It's becoming more relevant now.
Yeah, exactly. But let's talk about that post-credit scene. We see Yelena visit Natasha's grave.
With her dog, Fanny.
Yeah, we are caught back up to present days after Endgame. We have it's really an emotional moment, and who do we hear sniffling in the background?
Nasty little Val.
Valentina.
She's everywhere.
Yeah, who we just met this year in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, interestingly enough, this movie was supposed to be Valentina's introduction into the MCU. Mm-hmm. It had been written and shot and everything before Falcon and Winter Soldier. But I kind of like that we had it in Falcon and Winter Soldier first, only because now we have a little more context to who she is and what she's doing.
I can see it both ways, where seeing it in Black Widow first would have been like what a super mysterious entrance.
Yeah.
Because we hear her name once and we hear Yelena talk about it's her day off and she shouldn't be contacting her, blah, blah, blah. And we see her hand her a picture of Clint and it's like, go kill this fucking guy. That would have piqued a lot of interest. Yeah. Because it's like not a lot. It's nothing. Yeah. Practically. So I could have seen that being beneficial for people to be able to like theorize a little bit more. Not to say we're not theorizing anyway, but then to have the context of Falcon and Winter Soldier, it made it less confusing when she showed up. I was like, oh, I know who that is. Like, the most interesting thing about it was that it seemed like Yelena had been working for her for a while already. If she had already accrued PTO and was taking it. I'm just kidding. But that's kind of the vibe that I got. That was the most interesting thing to me. But yeah, I kind of also liked having that. Again, Val's like not in Falcon and Winter Soldier a lot. Yeah. We don't get a lot of information about her. Yeah. So we're still kind of guessing anyway. So I don't think it ruined it to have her come before.
But yeah, it's interesting. She, Val says, she was very picky with her words. Mm-hmm. She said, how would you like to get the man who is responsible for your sister's death? So kind of still twisting the narrative a little bit, but is also like not saying like, oh, I never said he killed her.
Yeah, I didn't lie, but I manipulated you into thinking a certain way.
So kind of still giving those like super shady vibes. Well, and now in Falcon and Winter Soldier, you could say she's being shady, but now she's actively targeting a former Avenger. Yeah. And months ago, there were rumors that Florence Pugh was joining the cast, the Hawkeye series for Disney+. Mm-hmm. It's pretty much confirmed at this point with that post-credit scene. So that's interesting. It makes me wonder, what is Val doing? Is she setting up a team? Some people have speculated it's like the MCU version of the Thunderbolts or the Dark Avengers. And if she's doing that, is she actively trying to get rid of the Avengers and trying to make her new Avengers like a thing? So it's interesting to see what kind of game she's still going to play there. And also just the future of Yelena. We're going to see more of her.
Oh, yeah.
100%. We're going to see more of her. And especially we're going to see her in Hawkeye. But like,
is she the new Black Widow?
Is she the new Black Widow? Will Hawkeye, the series, focus on helping free some of these other sleeper widows? So it's just like, it's...
Probably not.
We don't know. It's interesting to see, like...
Yeah, what they're setting up.
Yeah. Overall, all that said, back to like Black Widow as a movie, I think it's a very, very strong entry for the MCU. And also just, I think it was just the right movie to kind of bring us back into Phase 4.
It's a perfect blend of like pre-everything...
Yeah.
Post everything.
Yeah. Because remember, we're going to talk about it here in just a little while. There's a lot happening on like the cosmic and mystical side of the MCU.
We're going to need this grounding.
Yeah. I love that we're still getting movies like, or shows like Falcon and Winter Soldier and movies like Black Widow that are keeping, what's happening on the ground, Mm-hmm. And then you have movies like Spider-Man No Way Home, which I'm assuming is going to somehow blend the two. Yeah. I don't know what that's going to be. Yeah, so that's Black Widow. The consensus here, we really enjoyed it. That has been Black Widow. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below.
Was Yelena your favorite character as well? If the answer is not yes, you're wrong.
You might want to watch it again.
You might need to think about it some
more. On Premier Access or catch it in the movie theater. There we go. We lumped it back in. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, feel free to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Twitch. All right, see you next time.